Hi, how you doing? I thought I'd just start right back here, just so you could get a shot of my tree peony that is in bloom. It's not going to last a whole lot longer, and it's having a beautiful bloom this year. I'll get you a close up in a second. Um, I've had a really busy week, a real busy, probably 2 weeks, but the last week has been kind of go go go, and it beginning of June it's the time to go hard. And so I thought I'd take you through the things that I got done, what we got done, and then also I have a few more perennials that I picked up that I thought we'd go over that as well. My name is Sharon. I garden on a large yard in a small town in east central Saskatchewan, Zone 3. Welcome to my Sask Garden. So here's the tree peony, and the bees are just absolutely going crazy for it at the moment. Some of the blossoms are already on their way out, but the blooms are just absolutely huge. Some of the biggest that I've ever seen on this plant. There's what the buds look like just before they open. Oh, there we go. So there's a good shot of a nice flower that has not yet started to fade. It's fully open. This is the tree peony. I don't know the name of it. I got it quite a long time ago. I'm going to say at least 15 years ago. And I have a second tree peony as well, but the buds are still quite tight. It's going to be a bit yet before these bloom. Here's just another quick shot of something else that is in bloom, and this is the Weigela. And I've had this here in the corner of the deck, I bet you 20 years. It's been a long time, and grows quite well here. Seems to be very happy usually. So just making our way through the yard. This is one of the tasks that we got done, was in enlarging this circle around the willow tree and put in a nice edge around it, which I'm hoping that we can continue through the entire yard. The landscape logs, a lot of them are rotten and need to come out, so they either have to be replaced or we have to go with some sort of edging or something. And I've always liked this look of just a really hard straight edge, and I'm thinking that if it stays this way, this deep, that the grass shouldn't grow into it. That's my thought. This, of course, is a big root that comes out all the way to there, so we can't actually go through it. I don't want to damage roots as we do this. And then this is a hose, just a hose for right now while I look at this, trying to figure out if this is what I want to do with the center section. The bricks are going to come out and the plants are going to go. These ones anyway. This is clustered bellflower, and it blooms. It is not particularly happy here. I think there's just a little bit too much shade for it. It's also a little bit dry here for it. And so those plants are going to go. And I have having a tough time deciding if I want to continue with another circle or if we just seed that into grass and move the bird bath somewhere else. I should mention as well, under the trees here, I planted the Solomon seal last year just to see if they would winter, and they did. They have also multiplied in stems. So I think it would be really nice just to have a ring, maybe a 2-foot ring around the trunk of the tree of Solomon seal. It won't need much water, if any, because they really do excel in dry shade. So the other thing that I was up to last week was this back border, and let's see, we'll start on this side. I started off by planting out some of the, or all of the astilbe. I had 6 plants. These were the Costco bare root, and you know, they all came, they all look great. There's a little bit of tip burn now. That just might be a little bit of transplant shock. They're good and wet, so it's not that, but they were living. I was protecting them from the wind and a lot of the sun while they were in their pots, and so it could just be a little bit of you know, environmental shock at the moment, but I think for the most part it looks good. So there was 6. I planted them all in this area I'd say in about the last week. I also planted out the 3 heuchera, and I went over these heuchera in the plant haul video. This one is called Silver Gumdrop. It's got that really nice silver sheen. This one I love. You know, when I sit on the deck and I look out here, my eye is just immediately drawn to this. This one is called Peachberry Ice, and I don't care if it ever blooms. Well, it has little blooms, but you know, it's definitely the leaf color that we're going after here. And there is another astilbe. The hosta are all poking up now and looking good. They did take a while, and some of them have yet to unfurl, like this one. It's still not quite all the way unfurled. Another astilbe. This one's looking very nice. And more hosta. And more hosta and more hosta. And I've left this space open here. I am hoping to get another one of those Peachberry Ice heuchera because I really like it. And that heuchera is Primo Black Pearl, and it's got a nice shine to its leaves as well. It does get kind of lost in the background. So I've planted around it. I've planted 3 of the other 3 astilbe. And these astilbe, you can see the blossom there. They're supposed to have pink blossoms. And so my hope is that this Black Pearl will really be accented, I guess, by those pink blossoms. That's my hope. We'll see. If nothing else, once I get a lot more green on these, that in itself should help. Also, there's these dark stems on the astilbe, which should complement the dark leaf of this heuchera. And finally, what I did was I also picked up a flat of 36 impatiens, and I planted them in here along with, this is a half a flat, or 18, I think, of wax begonia just surrounding this hosta. And this is about the exact center of the bed. So on either side, I have some ladies' mantle that are coming up nicely now. I do love that plant. And then I finish it off on this side with impatiens. Now, you may think that they don't look like much. And honestly, they really don't. However, I did cut back most of the blossoms when I planted them, just to concentrate more energy on the growth or on the roots instead of on the blossoms. But the blossoms are coming back now. It's a mix of colors. So I think that it should, once they start, once they get going, I think it should be quite colorful instead of just green and varying shades of green back here, because that does tend to be what is happening here a lot of the time now. And the other thing that I did here was I went over to this side of the yard where I have all of these kind of like extra hosta. I have them planted 2 heavily in here. I guess that's a good way to put it, knowing that I will be taking one from here and one from there and transplanting. And that's exactly what I did. Was I picked out one that I thought was a good color, and I walked it over to the other side of the yard and planted it over there. At the same time, I dug up 3 daylilies from this area and transplanted them as well. Yet to do is transplanting these Heliopsis false sunflower. They are too tall for this area, for one thing, and secondly, they are too shady now, and so they get even taller and sparser bloom. So that is yet to happen, and I'll probably go over and take a few more of those hosta and put them in there. And so, you know, the bed is coming along. I'm actually quite happy with it if I don't look past the peonies and see the dead trees and the half-dead shrubs, which I need to get in there and do something, you know, I need to clean that up more. But in my mind, that is not a priority at the moment, not like getting some of the other stuff done. So that's, oh, the other thing that happened. I actually have a list, but I didn't have this written down on the list, maybe because I didn't do it, Andy did it. And that was, we had a big juniper in here. The juniper was actually a seedling, and you know, when it first showed up, I thought, oh, look at that. I've never seen a juniper seedling before, and so I let it grow, and then I let it grow some more, and then I ignored it and let it grow some more, until finally it was 10 feet across, perhaps, and so it had to go. And now it can, we can turn it into something just a little bit nicer than that juniper that looked completely out of place, to tell you the truth. This is our mountain ash tree, and this is sapsucker damage. And this time it's really damaged. You know, when it's damaged kind of like this, it's not too bad. But when it's damaged like this, look at the sap that's coming out of there, and look at the flies and ants and whatever else that it's attracting. And the sapsuckers actually peck those holes and to get in underneath to get some sort of insect. What the insect is, I'm not sure. The tree seems otherwise healthy. But I think when the damage leads to the bark splitting like that, that means that the tree is going to have to go. And yeah, all that sap or whatever it is that's leaking out, and it goes all the way down, that means this tree is going to have to come out. I think I planted this tree in 2007. It's rather slow growing. It has a lot of competition from that ornamental crabapple tree growing beside it. I think the ornamental crabapple tree is nicer. It has a beautiful bloom, and we can let this mountain ash grow into shrub form, which I've sort of been allowing some of that to do anyway. I stopped pruning it a little while ago at the bottom. This tree, this part is actually an entire sucker. It's going to be where are we here? It's going to be its own tree, this one. But I think we'll keep it in shrub form. We also have a multi-stem mountain ash right here as well, just beside it. And finally, the last thing that I did back here, well, there's probably more things. Actually, we had a really nice rain. We had almost an inch of rain that fell last weekend over 2 days. And so one of the first things I did after that rain was I got out and I did some weeding. You know, those of you, if you know that weeding is really much easier in damp or nicely moistened soil. Usually I will water before I weed anyway, but that rain came, it was very timely, and got down nice and deep. It's a good rain. Came with an awful wind, and it was cold. Here's where I transplanted those 3 daylilies. I had, well, kind of like 2 holes where I needed to put some. So this was one right there. And then I just added the third one back here because I try to keep this whole area underneath the apple tree fairly clear so that it's easy to go in and pick the apples to walk around the tree. So that apple tree is the Norland, which produces first in my yard, and then this tree is the Norkent. And for the last few years, I have been noticing chlorotic leaves. That's iron chlorosis right there on the leaf. And it's just this tree. It doesn't seem to bother the Norland tree at all. And it seems to be even more this year. I mean, the tree seems otherwise healthy. It had a good bloom, and it is producing apples everywhere I look. There's good apple production. Anyways, what I did with this was I raked up all the mulch under there this past week, just a couple days ago. And I have some iron chelate or chelated iron. It's a powder form that can be either watered in or it can be scratched into the soil. I chose to scratch it into the soil. And I also used some H-start in there just to see if that would help as well. And which H-start is a probiotic soil enhancer. And so hopefully that will help the plant uptake the iron that it needs in order for it to have nice green leaves. The other thing is, you know, it's not so pronounced up at the top of the tree as it is down here. And I don't know, it must be the variety or this specific location. We do have a heavy clay base under here, so I am quite certain that it's got to do with the soil, and that perhaps the Norkent tree is a little bit more susceptible. That's what I'm going with anyway. We'll see if the iron chelate works. Over here, these are my hascaps. And I used one of my 13 by 33 foot nets to net them all up because the cedar waxwings were already hanging around waiting for the berries to turn purple. I think you can see the berries. There does appear to be a good crop coming, and so I wanted to protect. Now, if you're going to put net on your hascaps, honestly, you have to get right down to the ground and you have to secure that some way so it doesn't blow away, and those birds are tenacious about trying to get in. One of the other things that I did right about here, I had a spirea growing, and so I dug it up and moved it over to another area of the yard. Over here I also have a bridal wreath spirea, but I couldn't bear to not let it bloom. It's got a nice bloom coming this year. And after it blooms, I'm going to chop it at least in half, if not more, and then that will also get moved to another part of the yard. At the same time, this high bush cranberry, which is at least 10 feet tall, is going to get it's going to get cut down to probably about 6 feet tall because it's going to start interfering with that apple tree. And all the house plants and house succulents are now hardening off since the peppers are no longer in command of the cart. One of the other things that we got done was we took out the lilac. Oh, you know, I have to stop and show you these. Bearded iris are starting to bloom. And I can't remember, I want to say maybe fog bound. I forget now what the name of this iris is, but boy, it is prolific and it's tall. It's well over 3 feet. Anyways, here's what else we did. took out the lilac for phase 2 of the rock garden. So the rock garden will extend this way and then move into the vegetable garden. I'm really looking forward to that happening this year. However, what I'm going to concentrate on is killing the stumps and making sure I don't get any more green growth coming up here. And then once I know that that's all good and dead, by next spring, probably about this time next year, I'll be able to cover that and start planting on it. And just walking down the path here, this lilac will also go. Another beautiful iris just about to open. There's an ajuga just loving its life here. I believe this is black scallop. This is the marble ajuga. So anyways, I am quite excited about all of this, about extending all of this. This really, rock gardening, I think, probably has always been my passion. I did try it once before, but the area that I chose was along the driveway, and it just got far too many leaves falling through the in the fall that then got wet, and it led to a lot of rot. It also was the area where we shoveled snow, and so that as well was not helpful. So just making our way back here into the vegetable garden. There's a zucchini potted up. I'm going to attempt growing it up these rebar stakes this year. That's what I'm going to try doing anyway. There's 2 plants in that 5-gallon pail. Potatoes are looking fabulous. I'm very happy with them. Butternut squash is looking really good as well. I've not had to do anything with these. The potatoes, however, I had a video that showed that I put drip tubing underneath there, soaker hose tubing underneath there, and then I mulched on top. So I don't hill these potatoes because there isn't enough soil to hill the potatoes, and instead I mulch heavy with straw, and that protects the potatoes that are forming. If you don't know and you're growing potatoes, you need to either hill them or mulch them heavy so that those forming potatoes aren't exposed to sunlight, because that ruins the potato. You can't eat them if they turn green from the sunlight. And this is the other thing actually that I just got done today. The peppers spent the night outside last night, just in their pots on top of this raised bed and covered with row cover. And then I planted them out today, and in a minute, as soon as I'm done this video, I'm going to cover them back up with the row cover. And I'm just they have been hardening off for a few days, but I'm sort of hardening them off in this area at the same time, giving them a little bit of sun every day and protecting them from wind. I think tomorrow is supposed to be an ugly, windy, rainy day, so they will probably stay under cover. Butternut squash, I sort of am doing the same thing, opening them up for a while, and I still can use that row cover just to protect from a full force wind while still keeping it open a bit. Cabbages are doing well, and these are the 3 cantaloupe that I have planted, and this one has bloom. And also over here, these are the honeydew. I have 3 of those, and all of them are blooming. Now, I suspect that no fruit will form for quite some time, because they all tend to do that, send out lots of blossoms before fruit starts to form. Tomatoes are doing okay. We've wrapped them with this this clear wrap, and that is just to help protect from the wind a bit. And lettuce, I have been enjoying garden lettuce salad. No dill yet, unfortunately. I do have a lot of green onion though, and this comes from the shallots. I have a video from last fall where I planted all of these shallots, and the reason that I plant them is for early green onion. And so I have been snipping a lot of this most every day for salads. And you can see here that they are starting to go to seed. That is, you know, essentially the same as a garlic scape. It sends up its seed head. I don't know if these are edible or if you could do sort of the same kind of thing as you can with a garlic scape. I've never thought about that or tried, but I imagine that you probably could. It's not that they're inedible. In the work area, giant fleece flower is looking great. It's about 5 feet tall this year and probably about 4 feet across. And so that makes a very nice view for me when I'm sitting way back here in the garden. I'm hoping at some point it'll reach 7 to 8 feet tall. And I just think it kind of makes a nice focal point there through the hedge. So back here, I think I mentioned garlic is looking great. I mean, I can't believe how huge it is, and I'm pretty sure the next leaf that's going to come up, like this right there, that very well may be the scape that's going to come up. It's difficult to tell right now, but they're close. Oh yeah, there's one. Right there, that's the garlic scape starting to push up. And the onion are also looking good, so I'm happy with the vegetable garden. Aside from planting the peppers, as well as, you know, weeding and watering and such, I haven't really had to do much else here besides the potatoes. This is looking at from the other side where that lilac was cut down. I think that this will be just a nice progression since this is all mulched with rock anyway. I think that continuing the rock garden into this area is just going to be a natural look. I think it just feels like it fits. And then here's some of the new perennials that I picked up. I have been on the lookout for cat's pajamas, Nepeta, and so I did find those at Home Depot for I think $7.99. I picked up 3 in the quart-size container, and they grow 12 to 14 inches high and about 18 inches wide. Perennial zones 3 to 8. These should be, I believe, they are going to be sterile. And, you know, I picked up another one of these bejeweled Proven Winners penstemon. This one is called Rose Rhinestones. I mean, just look at those blossoms. They just glow. And this is supposed to grow 14 to 16 inches in height, and it's got a spread of probably about 18 inches. This one says perennial zones 4 to 8. We'll see how it goes. Hardy to minus 30 Fahrenheit, and or minus 35 C. I mean, I think we had one day when it was colder than that this past winter, so pretty close, right? This phlox was on my list of things to look for, and this is prismatic pink. Also, and in the luminary series, I'm quite taken with those luminary series phlox. I had to repot this one because, of course, I'm not ready to plant it yet, or I haven't been, and it was just busting out of its pot. This says it is perennial zones 3 to 8, and it'll grow 32 to 34 inches tall. And it's got that nice pink with the reddish eye in it. Should be nice, I think. I found another dark-leaved hardy cranesbill or perennial geranium. This one is called Midnight Ghost. Has a little bit smaller leaf than the other one I have, and also a little darker perhaps, with white blossoms on it. And there is one blossom there. Shows up very nicely actually against the white foliage. There's quite a few blossoms on here. And yeah, Midnight Ghost cranesbill. So it says hardy to zone 3, short, only 6 to 8 inches high, but it has a spread of 18 to 24 inches, so it'll act more as a ground cover. Also, another perennial that I had hoped to find, and I did, was this fern leaf bleeding heart. This one is Pink Diamonds, which is the one that I had been hoping to find. And these fern leaf bleeding hearts, from what I understand, I've never grown them, but they can go in sun, part sun, or some shade, and they will bloom better in sunshine. So I've yet to find a place for that. I don't know. Also, on my list of hoping to find is Millennium Allium. And these are going to grow, these are going to bloom, well, they're about to start blooming now, which is going to be a little bit too early. They should be a midsummer bloomer. And then the blooms last a long time. This says zones 4 to 8. I'm willing to take that chance on these, and the height and width is 15 to 20 inches high and 10 to 15 inches wide. They really do look quite beautiful, and just the fact that they are a bloom time mid to late summer, to have an allium blooming at that time is, I think that'll be really nice to have. I also think they will be easily split at some point. It looks like I could already split my 2 plants into 4, or perhaps even more. Last plant that I got was a turtle head. Now, obviously I had this on my list. Look how tall it is already. I had this on my list. I must have seen it somewhere because I then been enthralled with it, because I did add it to my list. And pink turtle head, zone 3 it says, and it's Chelone obliqua, 24 inches wide, 24 inches tall. It likes moist, boggy conditions. So I'm not entirely certain where that's going to happen in my yard, but I might be able to accommodate it in some way. I could perhaps create a boggy area for it. And while I'm sitting here looking at these plants, I'm getting a good smell of garlic going on, and that is because in this little bucket right here, the other day I started my garlic, I call it my garlic tea, and that is just soaking garlic in water to make a concentrate. Oof. I think it's starting to ferment. It smells pretty strong. And that garlic I'm going to put in that garlic water, as well as more water, will get added to a sprayer, and then I'm going to spray, especially back here in the vegetable garden. The mosquitoes tend to be voracious just over there by that hedge, so I can spray the lamium down below, which is I think where they hang out a lot, and you know, the smell only lasts a day, if that, and then it disappears, as well as the vast majority of the mosquitoes will disappear at the same time. And so just making our way into the backyard. Just give you a little shot here. These ferns need to be transplanted to the back corner under the willow tree. Things are starting to perk up here. You know, I talked about this Brunera and how I wasn't very happy with how small the leaves are. You know, I've since read that that's the way they start. Small leaves when it pushes out the little blue flowers, and then after it's done blooming, or if you cut off the flowers, then the larger leaves begin. And so I'm not going to move it. I'm going to wait and see what it does here. And, you know, it otherwise is looking quite healthy. It's got a fair amount of nice growth going on under there. So this is only year 2 for it in this location, so I'm going to give it the benefit of the doubt and let it stay there. And same thing with this pulmonaria back here. I had mentioned that I wasn't really all that tickled with how it was coming back, but you know, it's got lots of bloom coming, and I think that I was maybe just a little bit impatient with its growth. It has more of a lance leaf for sure than Pinkaboo, which is right in front of me here. That has a more pronounced, it has a wider leaf and more pronounced whiteness. The white is actually really silvery, and lots of bloom on that one as well. There is the Whee Hosta, W-H-E-E. The leaves are really starting to come. The curliness of those leaves, I quite like it. I'm glad it came because it was expensive and it didn't go into winter looking that great. So I'm glad that it's doing well. The globe flower is blooming. This will also probably be the primrose's last hurrah. It's been blooming for a while now. I think that it's probably close to done. I think that rain that we had would have extended its life a bit. I always look forward to seeing these. And so the last thing that I was going to show you was that these are my house ferns that I wintered from last year. And these are not Boston ferns. They are called macho ferns. Big, heavy leaves. And Boston ferns have a much finer leaf. These things are just massive. They wintered well. I was happy with how they wintered. They've got some brown tips now since I put it outside. They've spent a number of days just in the screen room here. And but honestly, they're too big for a smaller space. So I put them out here for a little bit of deck decor. So that's it for today. Thanks very much for hanging out and coming with me on this little walk around the yard. And I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, give me a thumbs up, tell your friends, and if you haven't yet, hit that subscribe button. See you.